Hello, baby.
You're listening to Where You Live with Gene and Tony.
Welcome back to Where You Live with Gene and Tony. It's great to have you with us. We're broadcasting from the Natural Green Lawn and Landscape Studios. We're brought to you by Extreme Exteriors and American Family Insurance, the Kim Bennett Agency. Before we get back into our story about this 11-year battle, 11 years with an association battling with one homeowner about the care of his lawn. I want to just let our listeners know that we've got a couple of really great resources for you. It is our newsletter. It's called What's New. A lot of what we talk about in that newsletter is written in further detail. It's yours free for the asking. All you have to do is give us a call during the week at New Concepts at 952-922-2500. Ask for Lori, and she'll make sure that you start receiving that electronically or by the mail. When you receive that newsletter, you'll notice that there are other things that are there for you to use. We put together live webinars throughout the month, and we've been having some great responses to a lot of these, to a lot of webinars. And if you want to go and see what we've talked about before, I mean, they're on how to live with difficult people. That was a topic we covered. We talked about budgeting for a homeowners association, insurance, what you need and why.
We talk about rental policies.
Rental policies, yes. A lot of things that people said, hey, this is good stuff. You can even get look at our website, which is www.newconceptsgroup.com, and anytime begin to listen to past presentations of webinars. But the new ones that are coming up, you can find out first in the newsletter. So make sure you get yours by giving Lori a call, 952-922-2500. Well, here is an association, Tony, in Florida, Tampa, Florida. Something's not right when it takes 11 years to get something done. It sounds like there are people that, you know what happens sometimes is the board takes a stand and they say, we've got the authority to do something. And that's true.
Yes.
And yet there's the homeowner who says, oh, wait a minute, I've got an extenuating circumstance, and that's true as well.
Yeah.
And here you had the board that did not relent, and they went after him for over an 11-year period of time. And what was it that this guy said it cost him in attorney's fees?
Yeah.
$222,123.
So, of course, now he's trying to recoup that money that he spent defending himself in this long lawsuit.
Yeah, and let's take a look at what it was. So the board said, hey, you weren't taking care of the lawn, so we replaced it for you. That original cost was about $2,200, and then placed as a lien against his home, and then it just went from there.
Yeah.
But a couple things that came out from the jury trial. One is that the judge indicated that the owner's lawn was similar to many lawns suffering that emergency water use restrictions back in 2003.
That's right. We should mention the judge decided against the homeowners association in this case. He said that they did not have the evidence at the trial did not support the association's contention that he violated community standards. So one reason, as you just said, was because the other lawns were looking the same way because of the watering ban.
Yeah, when you hear that, the first thing that goes off in my mind is, hey, you got to be consistent.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You have to be consistent in applying your policies and your documents and your rules and regulations, or you're going to leave yourself open to this type of problem.
Had this person been someone who was a minority, there could have been even additional problems. Because
fair housing is a huge issue. So if they were of any protected class under fair housing, be it race, religion, ethnicity, gender, all the familial status. That would have added a whole another layer.
But don't you agree the board could have honestly not had any kind of discrimination in their mind in applying this to the person, but because they were inconsistent and someone was a minority, it could be brought up and it would have the appearance, and that's
of discrimination.
And that would be the biggest concern for HUD, then, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and you don't want to wrestle with HUD.
No, you don't.
So anyway, consistency is huge, and boards need to remember that they need to apply their rules and regs. We just came up with that question at a board meeting about collections. You know, someone on the board had been past due on association fees, and then the next month someone else is way past due, and they're talking about leniency in one case but not in another. You cannot do it. You have to be consistent.
Yeah, and that people on boards get off track sometimes because they allow personalities to get in the way. I mean, how many times have I heard someone who said, so-and-so is asking for this, we're going to say no just because they're just so ugly. And it may be true.
Yeah.
I mean, some people, instead of...
You mean difficult. By ugly, you mean difficult.
Yeah.
You weren't talking about personal appearance.
No, I was not. No, I was talking about
just wanted to
in their heart. In their heart.
Yeah.
So, some people really have a really ugly personality.
Yeah, that's true.
There's no benefit of the doubt. They come off saying, how come you're doing, and they just start yelling, and the board says, you know what, I don't like working with you, so bye-bye, and we're not going to do with it.
That's right.
But you can't
That's
do
right.
that.
The judge also determined in this case that the association lacked authorization to even record the lien in the first place because it violated its own rules.
Yes. I think this is interesting. He's not saying the board does not have authorization to do this, but they lack authorization when they are not consistent in handling a problem and in not even taking the time to follow the very rules that they've established.
That's right. They didn't follow their own process, which required three deed restriction committee members to examine the property first. Apparently, they didn't have committee members examine.
So they wanted to have basically three other homeowners of the association.
On a committee.
On a committee that would examine the property before a warranting took place.
For these types of violations.
Yeah, so that's a good warning for board members to remember. You can't just be hot and heavy and just wanting to hand out the violations.
And you have said this so many times. The boards sometimes get in this track where they want to take action. They want to resolve this problem. We got to hurry. We got to do it. It's got to be now. You just wrote an article about the tyranny of urgency. Is that what it was?
Tyranny of the urgent.
Of the urgent. Real estate and governance requires deliberation and consideration and time and opinions and discussions. It is not a fast food line to get solutions.
Yes, and people on boards need to remember, the purpose of government is not to be efficient, but to be deliberate.
There you go.
And I that is a mantra that I'm saying over and over again these days because I'm just not seeing it with folks.
It's getting more and more, don't you think, in our culture that people want immediate gratification. It doesn't matter what the issue is. Doesn't matter what the item is.
We're in a fast food society. We have technology.
Man.
It's got to happen now.
That's right.
Everything's got to be now.
That's right. And there was one more thing that came up at trial.
And what was that?
Well, the judge also said that it was shown that only about half of the sod this owner was charged for was actually used on his yard.
What happened to the other half?
It sounds like it was put out on the street on a boulevard or something that was actually county right of way. So, which he wasn't responsible to water apparently in the first place.
I gotta believe. I don't know this to be true. I gotta believe this was a self-managed association because I'm telling you, as a management company, any decent management companies, they're not going to make that mistake.
Okay, but they may have. They ended up self-managed. They may have started out managed by a professional company, but how many professional companies would stick with a homeowners association that was this misguided?
Hasta la vista, baby.
Yeah.
But yes, You can't, again, that's just another indication that the board was just kind of running things kind of quick and heavy-handed.
Yeah.
So you put that all together and you say, hey, you set up rules that said it's going to be reviewed. Nope. Instead, you just say, give them, we're going to take care of it. Then you have it done at a cost, and then the cost isn't actually the cost. Half of it's for something else you're using at somewhere else on the property.
It's crazy.
So after all of that, I could see why that homeowner, wanted to stick it out. I think
he stuck to his guns.
He did, and good for him. Hopefully, this is it with this.
Well, we didn't hear what's going to happen to the $222,000 he spent. That issue was not resolved in this article.
Oh, good. So that'll be another issue of where you live with
11
Gene
years.
and Tony. In maybe in 2013. Well, hey, we need to take a break. Don't go away. We've got one more segment of Where You Live, but after this station break.